I know we're a few days away from the game still, guys, but what do you think? Do you get that feeling that Scotland are kind of... And we were actually, before I finish that sentence, we've been talking about this, haven't we, Scott? Why is it always either gung-ho or 11 at the back? Can we not find a spot in between?
Jacko's better talking about it because I know he's written a really good piece on it for tomorrow. But you're right. I'm just getting a wee bit fed up with this argument about, if you say that Scotland need to attack more and get more shots on target and be more of a threat, suddenly people equate that to you saying, they should go gung-ho. They say, you can't go gung-ho because they'll just... Nobody's ever said for a second that Scotland should go gung-ho against Morocco or Brazil. But why is it going to be black and white? Why is it going to be either gung-ho or backs against the wall, parking the bus? I mean, there has to be some kind of middle ground. You can be solid defensively. You can be solid defensively, Dan, and still pose a threat. Still play attacking players and get balls into the box and get create chances. And you still have a defensive structure behind you. So I don't think anybody expects Scotland to open up and play wide open, expansive football and just be susceptible to counter-attacks every couple of minutes. But in terms of shots on target and chance creation, it's not been good enough in the first two games, no matter what way you look at it. So that has to improve.
You need our players to be braver on the ball and what they do in and out of possession. Take risks that, we watched the Euros and we said, look, oh my God, they look as if they're overcoached here. They look as if they're frightened to go and do their natural thing and play off the cuff because everything is so rigid in the structure, and it was painful. And I was a bit worried, Scott, that we were drifting alarmingly towards that territory again with the way that we set up against Morocco. These are different games, different opposition, different pressures. Having won the first game, they went into the Morocco game kind of thinking, well, we've got a bit of breathing space here, but the pressure comes back on now that we're going to play Brazil because we're probably going to need something. At the very least, we're going to need not to go down to a heavy doing because that could kill us in goal difference. So again, the question needs to ask, well, how brave are we prepared to be? How brave are the players prepared to be? But more importantly, how brave is Steve Clarke prepared to be when it comes down to naming his starting 11 and putting his trust in players that do have that ability to go and hurt the opposition rather than sending out a team which is designed only to contain and to limit the damage. I think if we try and do a damage limitation job with Brazil, we could end up in the end of something really bad and enough to send us out. I think we need to try. Scott, I watched the Morocco game. I'm sure that part of the reason they're a good side, right? We know that. But part of the reason they grew so comfortable into that first half was because they were not having to defend against anything. There was no out ball. They could see it. They could sense from Steve Clarke's team sheet that Scotland were just going ultra defensive, playing two full-backs on the left-hand side to cope with their right-back, by the way, who plays he could just as easy pop up in the left wing, never mind the right wing or the centre-forward position. It sent out a bad signal. I'm just really hoping that we go into this game against Brazil sending out a very different signal. Do you know what? We're here. We're not going to be daft. As you said, you don't need to use phrases like gung-ho. Nobody's asking that. Nobody in the right mind expects it for Steve Clarke. But what we do demand, I think, after the lessons learned from previous things and all the talk before this tournament about we come back for the last two with regrets and it's hurting people and they want to get back out there and not take those same regrets away from this tournament. We'll see if you're going to do that. You have to turn up. You have to fight. You have to be ready for a proper scrap and you have to take it to Brazil. Don't sit in hoping for the best while being on the receiving end of the worst.
Couple of things, right? I asked John McGinn in the mix zone after the Morocco game, what's the approach against Brazil? Do you need to try and attack them? He was unequivocal. Aye, we need to try and attack them. So the players want to have a go at it. So see if you've got players that want to have a go, why not let them go and do it? And the other thing, which makes me laugh slightly, I've heard people in the last couple of days, even some of your colleagues saying, defending this kind of pragmatic defensive approach by saying That's what got us here. No, it
No,
wasn't.
it didn't.
What got us here? If you think of the games that got us here, Dan, I think about Greece at home when we tried a containment policy, trying to ease our way into the game. Greece were miles better than us. Knowing that we had to take something for that game, the shackles suddenly came off.
Yeah.
And we going 1-3-1.
Yep.
The Denmark game at Hampden, the greatest game of our lives. What got us here was the last 20 minutes, realising we need to go for it here, or we're going out. And suddenly, when you free some of these players up to go and express themselves, and go and attack teams, they come up with golden moments that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. I even think back to Greece away that night, Jacko, we were in Athens, when again we tried to play ourselves in, and it was all very kind of slow and laboured, and Greece go 3-up. So what happens at 3-up? Scotland decide we need to go and get something.
Get rid of that handbrake again.
And all of a sudden, in the last 20 minutes, we scored 2 goals, and we thought at one point we're going to get a free each here. So I don't buy into this theory that we've got here because we've been defensively sound and we've been rigid and we've been solid and contained teams. Scotland's best moments in the qualifying campaign was when they just went for it. They got their best players the final third of the pitch.
Completely agree.
Again, I'm not saying get into the Brazil game 4-4-2 and go and try and go toe-to-toe with them. Nobody is saying that. You still have to have a defensive structure. Personally, I'd probably still go with a 4-2-3-1. I would probably bring like a Kenny McLean into midfield to give you that bit of protection. I tell you what, I'd still be playing with 2 wide men and a striker up front that can score, and a guy McTominay who can score big goals playing as an attacking midfielder. I think that can cause Brazil a problem if you can get up.
Alternatively, we could just kind of go with Nathan Patterson at right back and Tony Ralston at right midfield. With Tierney and Robertson on the other side, just to double bag it. What's that? Quadruple bag the thing. You're right. So what you just said there is exactly what I want to see. It's exactly what we need to see.
Too.
Because there's been promises made. There's been promises made by players. There's been promises made by Steve Clarke. Promises that the same mistakes will not be made over and over. I was worried that we were going in that direction against Morocco.